The stars outside the window of Oculus 9 blinked like cold fire. Ava Lynn sat alone at her station, eyes fixed on the monitors. Her fingers moved quickly over the controls, adjusting filters and scanning frequencies. Most days were quiet, but today something strange had arrived. It was faint but steady, coming from deep space. Not just noise, not natural, a pattern. Nova, the ship's AI, spoke calmly in her ear. Signal detected on frequency band E12. Origin, Threxia 7. Ava leaned closer. Threxia 7. That system's marked as off-limits. Confirmed, Nova replied. Galactic Union protocols restrict entry. No missions authorized within 50,000 kilometers. But the signal was real. It pulsed like a heartbeat. 3 short bursts, 2 long ones, repeating every minute. It had structure, purpose. Ava's heart raced. She pressed a button to record the waveform and began analyzing it. Can you clean it up, Nova? Filtering static. Isolating signal core. Done. On the screen, symbols began to form. Not human. Curved lines. Triangles. Spirals. It looked like a message. Ava didn't know the language, but her instincts told her this wasn't a cry for help. It was older, more complex. Who are you? She whispered. She stood and crossed the small lab to send a report. Standard protocol, report unknown signals, especially from forbidden zones. She attached the audio clip, included coordinates, and marked it urgent. The reply came faster than she expected. Less than 5 minutes later, her console flashed red. An encrypted message arrived from Galactic Union Command. Abort signal analysis immediately. Remove all records. Depart Threxia 7 airspace at once. This is a level red directive. No exceptions. Ava stared at the words. Level red? She had only seen that once before, during training. It meant extreme danger, biohazard, weapons, or worse. She read it again. Remove all records. She looked at the signal data. The symbols were still glowing on her screen. Whoever sent it, whatever sent it, had been waiting. For hundreds, maybe thousands of years. She couldn't just delete it. Something about the sound had touched her. It wasn't a threat. It felt lonely. Nova chimed in. Orders are clear, Ava. She hesitated. Yeah, I know, but something's not right. Why would they silence a signal like this? She saved a backup of the data to a private folder, hidden beneath ship logs. I'm not deleting anything, she said quietly. Not until I know the truth. The stars outside didn't blink this time. They stared back, still and silent, as Ava Lynn made a choice she couldn't take back. Ava sat in the quiet hum of Oculus 9. Outside, the stars stretched endlessly across black space, but her eyes stayed on the signal. It hadn't stopped. It kept repeating. 3 short bursts, 2 long, a pause, then again. Ava hadn't slept since the message from the Galactic Union. The level red directive still glowed in red at the corner of her screen, but she couldn't bring herself to follow it. She'd backed up the data, hidden it deep in the ship's memory. Her thoughts raced. What are they so afraid of? Nova's voice returned, soft and steady. New update from Union Command. An officer is en route. Estimated arrival 3 hours. Ava froze. Who? Commander Rallick Forn. Her stomach turned. Everyone in the Corps knew Rallick. A strict enforcer, loyal to protocol, zero tolerance for rule breakers. They're sending him. Correct. Ava stood up and paced the lab. They really want this covered up. She returned to her seat and stared at the signal symbols again. They looked ancient, like something carved into stone, not sent through space. She zoomed in on the waveform. Buried inside the rhythm was something else. A second pattern. It wasn't just a message. It was a code, a puzzle. Nova blinked. Ava, encryption layers detected in the signal. Would you like me to decode? Yes. Run it quietly. No logs. Use local memory only. Understood. The decoding began. Ava watched as lines of alien text scrolled across the screen, too fast to understand. Still, one word, if it could be called that, stood out. Nova paused on it. Translation estimate, 68% certainty. Word meaning, warning. Ava leaned forward. Warning. Of what? She didn't know, but she felt something deep inside her. A pull. Not fear. Curiosity. 2 hours later, Oculus 9 jolted slightly as a small ship docked. Commander Rallick Forn entered, without a word. He was tall, sharp-faced, and wore his black uniform like armor. He moved through the corridor, like the ship belonged to him. When he entered Ava's lab, his eyes went straight to the signal screen. "You didn't follow the directive," he said flatly. Ava stood her ground. "I needed more time. You were ordered to delete the signal and leave the area." "I couldn't. The signal, there's more to it. It's not just a call. It's layered. There's a warning inside." Rallick stepped closer, lowering his voice. "Do you know what Threxia 7 is?" She shook her head. "It's the site of an ancient war. A civilization once tried to seal something here. We don't know what. Just that whatever it was, they sacrificed their entire species to contain it." Ava's voice was quiet. "So you buried it. Pretended it never existed." "We protected the galaxy," Rallick replied. "And we're not going to let human curiosity open that vault." Ava didn't blink. "But what if the signal isn't a threat? What if it's a call to help maintain the seal?" Rallick looked at her for a long moment. Then he said, "If you keep going, Ava, you're risking lives. This isn't a story. It's a warning." He turned and walked away. Ava sat back down at her console. The signal was still there, and now she wanted to know more than ever. The door slid shut behind Commander Rallick. The air in the lab felt heavier after he left. Ava leaned forward, staring at the screen. The signal hadn't changed, still pulsing, still waiting. But now she saw it differently. This wasn't just a message, it was part of something bigger, a piece of history, sealed and silenced. Nova's voice returned. "Signal layers fully decoded. Coordinates identified within the code." "Coordinates?" Ava asked, sitting up straight. "Yes, location, surface of Threxia 7. Estimated impact site of origin structure." Ava looked toward the porthole. The planet below spun slowly, covered in dust and ice. Nothing moved. No signs of life. No signals except the one she was tracking. "Can we land there?" "Surface is stable. Radiation levels within safety limits." "Warning. Commander Rallick has locked shuttle systems." Ava frowned. "Of course he has." She paused, thinking. Then she stood up and walked quickly to the shuttle bay. She had been on ships long enough to know that manual overrides still worked, if you were careful. And quiet. 15 minutes later, Ava stood in the launch bay. The lights were dimmed. The hum of the ship filled the silence. She held a portable signal scanner and a datapad with Nova's guidance software installed. "Nova," she whispered, "can you mask the launch? I can delay system alerts for 6 minutes." "That's enough. Let's go." Ava stepped into the small scout shuttle and closed the hatch. She strapped in, hands slightly shaking. The shuttle trembled to life. She guided it out of Oculus 9's docking arm and pointed it toward Threxia 7. The descent was rough. The planet's thin atmosphere tossed the shuttle like a leaf in the wind. But Ava held steady. As she dropped through the clouds, the surface came into view. Wide, empty plains of ash and cracked stone. Sharp ridges cut across the landscape like scars. Nova highlighted a blinking mark on her screen. "Landing zone detected. Coordinates confirmed." The shuttle touched down near a jagged canyon. Just beyond it, Ava saw a structure, half buried under sand and stone. It looked like a tower, broken at the top, made from dark metal that shimmered faintly. She stepped outside. The air was cold and dry. A thin layer of dust swirled at her feet. The tower didn't look human. Its walls were covered in carvings, spirals and symbols like the ones in the signal. She moved closer and found an opening. A narrow doorway, just wide enough to enter. She hesitated, then stepped inside. The air in the chamber was still. Her helmet light scanned across smooth walls that pulsed faintly with blue light. It felt alive. At the center of the room stood a tall pillar. It rose from the floor and vanished into the ceiling. Lines of light moved across it, flowing like water. Ava approached slowly. Suddenly, her scanner beeped. Signal source confirmed. Nova said, "This is the origin point." She reached out and touched the pillar. The chamber lit up. Holograms filled the air, images of stars, planets, and strange beings, with long limbs and glowing eyes. They stood in circles, hands joined. Then came an image of something dark, a swirling mass, larger than any ship she'd seen, devouring a moon in one slow breath. Ava stepped back, heart pounding. "What is that?" Nova translated slowly. Visual log, time unknown. Event containment. A final image appeared. His pay. The shield something beneath it. Then the signal began. A warning to anyone who came too close. Ava stared at the images, a chill running through her body. She wasn't the first to find this, but she might be the last who had a choice. Ava stood still inside the glowing chamber. The ancient images floated around her like memories left behind. The alien figures faded, replaced by lines of script circling the pillar. "Nova," Ava said quietly. "Can you read it?" "Translating," the AI replied. Estimated match, 71%. Message, "Do not disturb the seal. The darkness sleeps below." Ava stared at the words. She took a slow step back. "Seal?" she whispered. "Is that what this tower is?" "Affirmative. This structure appears to be a locking mechanism. Purpose containment." Ava looked down. Beneath her feet was a floor of smooth black stone. For the first time she noticed a wide circle etched into the ground, covered in symbols and glowing lines. It looked like a door. She didn't want to imagine what might be under it. Just then, her datapad beeped sharply. "Unauthorized shuttle detected," Nova warned. Ava turned and rushed out of the chamber. She climbed a small hill near the ruins and looked up. A second shuttle was descending fast. Sleek, black, and marked with the Galactic Union crest. Commander Rollick. Moments later, his ship landed nearby. The ramp lowered and Rollick stepped out, helmet on, steps firm. He walked toward her without hesitation. "I told you to stay away," he said through his helmet. "I had to see it," Ava replied. "The signal, it's not just a message, it's a seal. A warning." Rollick looked past her at the ruins. His jaw tightened. "You touched it, didn't you?" She nodded. "I activated the chamber. I saw them. The ancients. They were protecting us, not threatening us." Rollick shook his head. "You don't know what you've done. That signal, it wasn't meant to be found. We've kept this planet buried for a reason. But we've already disturbed it," Ava said, voice low. "The signal grew stronger after I activated the core. Something's changing. I think the seal is weakening." Rollick looked down at the dusty ground. He didn't argue. Instead, he said, "Then we don't have much time." They walked together back into the structure. The glow was brighter now, and the lines on the floor pulsed like a heartbeat. The air felt heavier. Nova spoke up. "Energy levels increasing. System instability detected." Rollick touched the pillar. Holograms flickered again, this time faster, more chaotic. The image of the black void reappeared, twisting through the stars. Ava pointed. "That's what they sealed." "What is it?" "Unknown," Nova answered. "But records describe it as the hunger. A force that consumes thought, light, and memory. Non-physical. It infects minds." Rollick turned to Ava. "You see now why we were told to forget this place." Ava nodded slowly. "But ignoring it won't save us. We need to reinforce the seal." Rollick looked at her. "You know how. I don't. But maybe the ancients left the answer in the signal." Nova responded. "Secondary layer of signal still decoding. Estimated completion, 2 hours." Rollick paced the room. "That's too long." A low rumble echoed through the ground. The lights in the pillar flickered. "The seal is failing," Ava said, her voice tight. "We started something. Now we have to finish it." They looked at each other. No longer enemies, just two people standing at the edge of something vast and ancient. Together they had one chance to stop what was coming. The room felt like it was holding its breath. Blue lights from the pillar flashed faster now, and the floor vibrated under Ava's boots. Each second, the hum grew louder. Rollick turned to her. "It's waking up. We don't have 2 hours." Ava stared at the pillar. The signal had layers, coded, hidden, ancient. But the ancients had sent it into space. That meant it could be changed. "We don't need to wait for the full decode," Ava said. "We just need to send a message. One that matches the signal, one that the system will accept." Rollick raised an eyebrow. "You're talking about rewriting the lock code?" "Yes. The ancients used emotion and logic in their signals. They weren't just machines. They felt things. They built this seal with fear, but also with hope." Rollick didn't respond right away. Finally, he said, "You think a human message could restore a seal made by an alien race?" Ava stepped toward the pillar. "I think it's the only chance we've got." Back aboard her shuttle, Ava connected her datapad to the signal transmitter. Nova assisted her, feeding parts of the decoded signal into a translator. The lines pulsed across the screen like veins of light. "We need to mimic the original code structure," Nova said, "but embed a new meaning." Ava nodded. "Something the system will recognize. A new command. Restore. Lock. Sleep." Rollick watched from behind. "How do you add feeling to a signal?" Ava thought for a moment. Then she activated the microphone. She spoke slowly, her voice calm and steady. "To whoever built this, we hear you. We understand the danger. We want to help. Please, let this seal hold. Let this darkness sleep." Nova processed the voice and translated the words into the alien signal pattern, layering her voice into the rhythm. "Signal ready," Nova said. "Permission to transmit." Ava looked at Rollick. He gave a slow nod. "Send it," she said. The signal burst out from the shuttle, echoing into the chamber. The blue lights froze. The vibrations stopped. Then the floor lit up with new lines, circles spinning in reverse, symbols realigning. The room filled with a low, deep tone. The heartbeat of the planet slowed. Nova's voice broke the silence. "Seal is restabilizing. Energy levels returning to baseline." Ava let out a long breath. Rollick stared at the pillar. "You did it." "No," she said softly. "We did." Outside, the wind began to blow again. The dust settled slowly around the base of the ruins. They returned to Oculus 9 in silence. The shuttle docked without alert. No alarms, no damage, just quiet. Rollick looked out at Threxia 7 one last time before turning to Ava. "I came here to shut you down." Ava gave him a tired smile. "And now?" He paused. "Now I'm filing a report that says you prevented a potential disaster using initiative, intuition, and humanity." She blinked in surprise. He continued, "You earned more than a medal today. You reminded me why we explore, not to control, to understand." Then he left the bridge without another word. Nova spoke gently. "Shall I archive the signal?" Ava shook her head. "No, keep it alive. Not as a warning, as a memory." She sat down, staring at the stars. Somewhere out there, someone had once tried to protect the galaxy. Today she helped keep that promise. The stars outside Oculus 9 seemed different now. Still silent, still distant, but not empty. Ava Lynn sat alone in the observation deck. The ship was quiet. The hum of systems and the faint crackle of the signal monitor were the only sounds. The steady rhythm of the restored message pulsed softly in the background. The same signal, but different now. Not a warning, a promise. Nova's voice spoke gently. "Galactic Union has acknowledged your report. Commander Rollick's statement supports your findings. No charges filed." Ava let out a breath. Relief washed over her like a slow tide. She stood and walked over to the main console. The screen showed Threxia 7 below, a pale brown marble floating in the dark. From up here it looked harmless. "Peaceful. Any new activity?" she asked. "Negative," Nova replied. "Seal remains stable. No energy spikes, no signal distortion." Good, Ava whispered. That's how it should stay. She tapped a few buttons and opened the signal logs. The waveform scrolled across the screen, smooth and calm. It carried her voice now translated into the ancient code. A human voice blended with something older, something beyond. She still remembered the images in the chamber. The ancients, the darkness they locked away, the sacrifice they made, and yet, they left the signal active. Why? Maybe they believed someone would come one day. Someone who would understand. Ava had come. She had listened. Footsteps echoed behind her. Rollick entered the room, dressed in civilian clothes now. He looked tired but calm. I'm not staying, he said. Ava nodded. Didn't think you would. He stepped beside her, staring out the window. You know, he said. I spent years believing that orders were the only thing keeping the galaxy together. She glanced at him. And now I think listening is just as important. He paused. You did something no directive could have prepared you for. You trusted your gut. That saved us. They stood in silence for a moment. Then Rollick reached into his pocket and handed her a small data crystal. What's this? My copy of the decoded signal, he said. Thought it should stay with someone who actually listens. She took it, holding it carefully. He gave her a small nod, then turned and left the deck. Hours passed. Ava remained at her station watching the stars. Nova, always quiet now, said softly. Do you believe the ancients are still out there? Ava didn't answer right away. Then she said, I think they're gone, but their message remains. Maybe that's what matters. There was a long pause. Then Nova added. Someone responded to the signal. Ava turned. What? One of our relays received a faint reply. Unknown origin. No known match. Just a tone. Let me hear it. Nova played it. It was soft. A single low note. Long and still. Then it ended. Ava smiled. Someone's listening. She looked out at the stars again. This time with quiet hope.